A great day to all of you folks watching out there. This is How to Cosplay for Dummies, your guide in everything cosplay. How are you guys doing today? Are you all excited for today's event? Type in the chat so that we know how you're feeling. By the way, I'm Shu and I'll be your host for today. How to Cosplay for Dummies is an event under the production of the University of the Philippines Anime Manga Enthusiast. You can follow us on Facebook at University of the Philippines Anime Manga Enthusiast-UPAME or subscribe to our YouTube channel at UPAME. How to Cosplay for Dummies will dive into two sets of topics. The first one being how to get started, and the next one being what you do next after you started being a cosplayer. But first, let's introduce all of our speakers. Starting with our beautiful Miwa here, Ali Kenny.
Hello.
Next would be our lovely Circuit Kathy in Mita Cosplay.
Hello.
And of course, we have Dean Sum in her A2 cosplay. And next, we have Ichini, who is currently not on cosplay, but he is still here with us. Thank you for taking your... And lastly, we have our new debut cosplayer and also the president of UPAME, Komini. Okay, to get started, we will just introduce the outline for today's event. First, to manage your finances, we will have Dean Sum for the talk. Next, we have Circuit Kathy, which will tell us how to ukai or DIY our cosplays. After that, we'll have Ichini, who will guide us how to style our wigs. Then Ali Kemi, who will show us how to fabulously makeup. And lastly, Komini, who will guide us on steps of taking care of your skin. After that, we will have a 5-minute break, so just so we could stand up a bit, so our joints don't get all rusty and all. And we will start with the second part. Again, Komimi will be taking over. We will be talking about going to cons and attending cons and other events. After that, it would be Ichini and Ali Kemi who will be helping out about your photos during photo shoots. And then Dean Sam Ichini will be teaching you all about the communities for cosplaying. And finally, Circuit Kathy and Dean Sam will tell you tips and tricks for competing during cosplay events. I hope everyone is excited. But before we move on to our next segment, please note that all questions will be entertained at the end. Just please specify to whom the question is addressed to. And for where do you send your questions, the link is in the description box. Or you could always just scan the code shown to your screen. Hopefully it's there. But now let's all lay back, chillax, and get to know about managing our cosplay finances with Dinsa.
All right. Thanks so much. Okay. So hi. Let me see where my. Okay. So, first of all, cosplaying is a very fun hobby. A lot of us wants to do it. Okay, but we're always not always, but often met with the dilemma of where are we gonna get our finances when we are cosplaying. It's a very expensive hobby. Okay. And yeah, so let's look through our stuff here. So a little bit of background lang. We have cosplay origins. Technically, cosplay started in the 80s, early 80s, but in the Philippines, I think it started around early 2000, around 2000, 2001, something like that. The first cosplay event was Anime Explosion in SM Mega Mall in the Philippines, which still a lot of cosplay events are happening in that place. So if you ever went to Ozine events, something like that, it's always held there. So yeah. Right. So a little bit about me. I am Dean Sum. That's what I go by. I was exposed to cosplaying way back 2008. So I was a very young child, but I never really started cosplaying until 2012 because yes, I was also met with the same problem. I did not have the resources to cosplay, nor did I have any money to do it as as an 8-year-old. So it's it's a very expensive hobby. But 2012 I decided to kind of just put together together whatever I had. Some wigs I got from Star City, things that cost like less than 100 pesos, things like that. That's where we at least I started. On the screen are some of the examples of my first cosplays. So I could call them cosplays. I could also just say I just put on whatever I had and called it a day. But we all start somewhere. So that was my first wig, and that was my first costume, which I actually put together by myself. It was just a bunch of stuff that I bought, and then I decided to like just do whatever um I can with it to make it work. So you have that. Okay. All right. So everyone has their awkward firsts, and be awkward. Be awkward with your first experience. That's okay. Okay. So again, another reminder is yes, cosplaying is a very great hobby, good community and things like that. But it's very expensive, and it is not necessarily a need. Okay, that's why we call it a hobby. Okay, so just putting it out there. Um, so uh, I realized some stuff while I was, putting together some cosplays. It is expensive, okay? After those first two cosplays that I had way back 2012, the pictures that I showed earlier. After that, I didn't start cosplaying again until 2021, I think. So, took me 10 years to get back into cosplaying again. And because I did realize that it was expensive. So for me to be able to get back into that hobby, I decided I got a part-time job, and then I started with cheap cosplays. Things that just needed a wig, maybe a shirt, secondhand stuff, things like that. I just saw Venti on Shopee, and he was like less than 2,000 pesos, and I was like, okay, I can afford that, right? So we all start somewhere. We start simple, we start awkward, and we also start cheap, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So yeah. So once you get through that awkward stage, and you figure out some stuff that you can do, how do you cosplay, where do you get it, you get to do things like this. So these pictures that I have on screen, these did not happen overnight. These happened, I think, in the span of like what, 3 years, within 3 years. So it was a lot of working my actual job and working towards being a better cosplayer than I was before that. So, we got photographers, just shoots, things like that, cons, lots of yada, yada, yada. So, once you get through those awkward start, you get to do cool things like these. And I think seeing these photos, I know a lot of people will be like, they're just photos, but they really mean a lot to me. And seeing these photos made me realize that all those awkward firsts and that hard work and all that waiting makes it worth it. So, yeah. All right. So this is another thing that I wanted to highlight. In the cosplay community, once you start cosplaying and you decide you want to get into the community, like-minded people you encounter during conventions very often, you start to see a bunch of issues popping up. Okay, and one of the common issues that I would encounter, I guess, during my time in the cosplay community is people who like ask for sponsorships and people who practically beg for sponsorships. Okay, so try not to ask for sponsorships. Okay, don't cosplay unless you are financially able to. There is no harm in waiting to be ready to cosplay. Okay, so I went back into cosplaying because of one reason. Well, two reasons. I liked it and I could afford it. So that's why I went back into cosplay. If I couldn't afford it, I wouldn't do it. So yeah, try not to do that. Sponsorships do happen, but quite often they don't. Okay, so they're not that common. So yeah, sponsorships do happen if someone ends up, liking the way you look or the way you express character, and they're like, "Hey, can I sponsor you?" Yes, that can happen, but the odds of it is very little. So try not to rely on that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but we got all those stuff out of the way. There are ways for you to cosplay without breaking the bank. We have some things we call like closet cosplays. Basically, you just buy a wig and then you kind of put together stuff that fits the vibe of this character, or even if they're like a slice of life kind of character, you can can often find similar clothing to that character. So you just buy that, you put it together. It can work. It works. It often works, right? Costume trades are also very common. It is something I actually do very often. So basically, you kind of don't pay for anything. You give them your costume and they give you another costume back. But of course, the downside of this is you have a very limited option with this person. Your only options are whatever this person has. But yes, it can be really fun, and costume trades are really cool. Also, another thing that you can kind of be careful about this is whether or not the person that you're trading with is of a similar size to you. So of course, if you're like a small, you often will not trade with someone who carries large size cosplays. So yeah, those are kind of like the downside of that. But yes, it can work. It's very fun. It happens a lot. Buying secondhand is also something very common. I see no shame in buying secondhand. Okay, there are some people, of course, they wanted brand new. Of course, who doesn't want brand new, right? But secondhand can be just as good, right? Especially if you encounter a person who is very careful with their costumes. They take care of their costumes very well. That's also a very good option for you because of course they're not going to sell it at full price, and sometimes you can even ask for freebies and such like that. So yeah, it's very fun. And then last, another thing that I also like to do is to rent. Okay, especially if you have a character that you want to cosplay but you're not sure if you're gonna cosplay them again and again. Renting is the way to go. So if I have this character that I want to cosplay just once, example, I had Ganyu of Genshin. Just wanted to cosplay her for no reason. I decided to rent. Okay, I didn't want to buy the costume. I don't think I was gonna use her again. I rented her. I used her. I had fun with it. I washed it and then I gave it back, and it works. So it didn't break the bank. It was less than 1,000, so it was really fun. Um, yeah. Okay. So now with renting comes etiquette. This is very important. Etiquette is very important. Okay. So you have to keep in mind that the costume is not yours. Okay. You are borrowing it. You have to take care of it, and the person who rented it to you expects you to return it with little to no damage. Of course, preferably no damage. Okay? So some tips here is you check your costume as soon as you get it for any existing damages. If they do have damages, you tell the renter, okay, so this is what happened with your costume. I did not do this, right? Um, Avoid chemicals and perfumes on the costume. Okay, that can water down some colors. And then another very important thing: do not alter the cosplay, at least not permanently. If you want to pin some stuff, that can work, but do not sew it, do not glue it, do not do anything that alters it permanently. Okay. Another part here is you ask the owner if they want the costume washed. Okay, this is a case-to-case basis. Some renters would want you to wash their costume before you give it back to them. Some of them prefer to just wash it on their own because they're very particular with the way they wash their costumes. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Just ask. Okay, be honest with whatever happened with the costume, and of course pay the damage fee. Okay, it's not worth it to cause issues or break friendships because you were not truthful about something. And of course, return costume on time. If you cannot return it on time, you make sure you pay for the extension fee or whatever fees they are incurring for your extra days of having that costume. Because usually when you rent a costume, at I think maximum they would give you like a week to have it. Some would just give you 4 days. So make sure that you give it back on the time that you agreed on. Okay. And next thing, okay, so I think that's all. So thank you so much. And I now pass the baton on to Dean for his presentation on everything
So, hello everyone. Thank you kay Dean um, for her presentation on everything, everything budget friendly, everything you need to know to save money when you want to do the hobbies you want to do. So, for
But I
now,
think your
oh, oh yeah.
mic is not working.
No, my mic is working on, hold on, My mic is working on Discord. It isn't. I was unmuted on stream. Anyway, But yeah, my mic is working now. So yeah, like I said, thank you so much to Dean for pretty much teaching us everything we need to know about being budget friendly. Also, before I start, I also want to say my voice is like almost dead because I'm still hungover from a stream. So I'm sure it'll be fine. So right now, our next topic is everything you need to know about doing stuff yourself. So you can't find what you're looking for on Shopee or Lazada or even the Facebook Marketplace, or is it too costly and expensive that your wallet's just crying, staring at you? Well, sometimes the only option might be or is to DIY. So here's a little bit about me first. Yes. Hi, I'm Circuit Kathy. I am a cosplayer, a VTuber, and a voice actor. And currently, I am working on a dub for Me Side. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. We're almost done. And yeah, I started attending conventions back in 2019. As you can see, my progress has gone a long way. And not to mention, like, during the pandemic, the spike of cosplays being purchasable on online shopping websites just boomed out of nowhere. So now it's easier for me to cosplay. But there are some cosplays over there in those pictures that you didn't know, or you probably didn't know. I made it from scratch. Anyway, and yeah, I started going back in 2019, but I also started joining cosplay competitions back in 2013 when I was 9. We'll get to that as to what story that came from, or like where that came from, once me and Dean Sooms start talking about competing. And also, other than joining, I've also judged cosplay competitions. My most recent one was back in like around March. And I was judging for this competition called it was so fun. It was really fun. I judged Cosplay Eng, which was a College of Engineering event that happened, and it was so fun. It was really fun. So let's go back to the problem at hand. You can't find what you're looking for, or it's just too expensive. Well, the answer might be doing it yourself. Now, here are the different ways you can do it yourself. You can either sew, you can either craft, or you can either thrift or ukay-ukay. And I'm pretty sure, even if you're not cosplaying, ukay-ukay is just something we always, have a very endearing feeling as Filipinos. It's always really fun to find something interesting in these places. So, let's start with... Oop, hold on. Where is the sounds? There we go. Alright, so let's start with sewing. Also, you guys see that little cute cat over there? Alright, let's start with sewing. So here are the different kinds of sewing. You can basic sew, which is your standard machine sewing or hand sewing, whichever you prefer, which is, or garment construction, which is what I did for the Sailor Saturn cosplay you see over there. So story time, I bought that cosplay back in Shopee. As you can see, it looked very bad. Like the fabric was really cheap and there was so much stuff coming out of everywhere. So what I did keep from that entire cosplay was just the shirt, the inner part of just the inner part of the shirt. And then I just bought extra fabric with my dad. He was working on another cosplay. He was making himself a Piccolo cosplay, but I don't have any pictures of that right now. But yeah, as you can see, I had to make the whole thing from scratch. That's pretty much garment construction. You have pattern alteration, which is another thing I did for that cosplay. It was too large, so I had to shrink it down to make it a little bit more fitted for me. And detailing and decorative stitching, that's also one. You want to add more details. You want to add some very intricate details. It's very difficult, but I guess with practice, it all goes well. And also props using fabric techniques. Props can include, sheets for swords or anything of the sort. Anything that's not part of your main outfit, but is still a detail that's just as important. And sewing is also like one of the categories under sewing. Isn't just limited to just sewing thread in the fabric. crocheting and knitting is also part of this category. And then we have crafting, which is one of my favorite ones. Although it's the one that takes quite the longest because you really have to be patient about it. So in most other countries, Warbler or EVA foam, they're very popular within the cosplay community. It's both lightweight, it's durable, but the downside is it's really difficult to get, especially here in the Philippines. It's also pretty pricey. So that's where I use cheaper alternatives that are just as strong and they work really well, such as paper mache. Now, one method I personally use is making homemade glue with that paper mache. And that glue is actually made from 1 part cornstarch and 4 parts water. Although you can use 5 parts if it's too thick, and then you cook it over medium heat until it becomes like a semi-transparent glue-like consistency, and it's really, really sturdy. And then you get newspaper strips. You tear that up, as you can see from 2 of my cosplays over there. We have a Loopsy head one, which is what I used. I believe that's mostly paper mache on top of a yoga ball that my mom used to own, and then we broke the yoga ball. The things you gotta do for the sake of cosplay. And the small details were made with vellum cartolina, which is very like sturdy in comparison to normal cartolina that you see on stores like National Bookstore. And they're very thick. Well, not thick, but they're thicker than your standard cartolina, and you just cover that up with newspaper and the glue-like thing that I just mentioned earlier, the cornstarch glue, and then you just rub it on top of it until it becomes wet. And then here's where the hard part comes. It's the waiting time. Waiting takes a long while. I do believe that hair drying it speeds up the process a bit more. So yeah, that's the method I really like using when it comes to crafting props or crafting stuff that's, well, pretty much lightweight. It's super lightweight. It's just paper, and it's really, really fun. I really have a fun time doing this. Now, here's the part that Dean did mention earlier, which is the ukay-ukay, which is very fun as well. Although finding the stuff you want usually is the part that takes quite a while. Here where I live, I believe there's like 4 or 5 ukay-ukays you can check around and see if you need some parts of it to deconstruct or even just use it plainly for your cosplay. Here's some other stuff that I did buy, but the one that I did use and have myself photographed was my Akamatsu Kaede from Danganronpa V3 cosplay. And I found this really cute vest that was pretty great. And not only is it easy to deconstruct or anything, they're relatively cheaper than other stores or even Shopee. They're relatively cheaper. And instead of buying stuff that's new. And also you can also have base pieces just to customize it. And by customizing, I made like this patch that you could just like sew it over the vest, and that became like pretty much the whole base for it. And the best part about it is that even if you can't find what you're exactly looking for, anything that's similar automatically makes your cosplay very unique. And I think that's a good thing. Not only that, you're also kind of saving the environment by buying or like thrifting. Because yeah, it's pretty much environmentally friendly if you think about it. So, let's wrap up. There we go. So to wrap up, remember, cosplay isn't just about, having the most expensive tools or having the perfect build. It's about creativity, which is something I'm very into. Being resourceful, and of course your passion, because cosplay is a really, really passionate hobby for everybody to have, and I think it's really, really fun. And DIY isn't just a cost-saving approach, it's pretty much a way to personalize your craft and learning new skills that can be helpful to the next cosplay you'll be making. So whether you're sewing your first costume or building armor from scratch or repurposing everyday materials, every step it pretty much adds to your growth as a creator. So I hope you walk away ready to build, ready to experiment, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Happy crafting, and I can't wait and see what you'll create. Thank you. Now I pass the mic over to who's next? All right.
It's me.
Yes, it's Enzo. Let's go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Enzo, or Ichini on Facebook, my cosplay account. So I'll be talking to you about how to choose and style wigs yourself. So, wait, I can be heard, right? Okay. So, anyway, my first cos event was Tanabata Festival 2022, and I've only been cosplaying for 3 years, as you can see here. Very quite a short time compared to everyone else. So anyway, let's talk about wigs. So it's the crown of the cosplay. It's the top. You can have a cosplay that's just clothes you threw together from clothes in your closet, but without a wig. In most cases, it would look kind of weird, like you're just wearing normal clothes if you don't have a wig. So anyway, as you can see here, I started out with styled wigs, like just bought them and took them out of the bag and threw them on my head. So as you can see, the right picture is with a styled wig. It really changes the game. Of course, on the left and the right, other things change too. I put on makeup. It's in the studio. Pictures edited, but the wig really elevates it. So here are some of my wigs that I styled. Raiden Shogun, Gargura. Hello, I am the Risley wig. I styled that myself, and the what was his name again? Hatsune Miku wig. Styled that too. It's approved by Miku herself. So anyway, so let's get on with wig styling. Oh, you have two choices. You can have the wig styled by someone else, or you can do it yourself. So why would you choose to do it yourself? Well, first of all, it's cheaper because you only have to buy the wig and buy the materials. From the outset, it might be a bit more expensive, but the more wigs you style, the more return on investment you get. You can also tailor the wig to your own preferences, and it's convenient because you don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about the wig being messed up by the rider or whatever, and it's just there, and you can do it whenever you want. So why would you? On the other hand, why would not you not have it style it yourself? Why would you have it styled by someone else? Uh, Time investment. You need to practice. You need to learn how to style a wig. Also, it's hard at first. It's very hard to get it right. So anyway, with that out of the way, here's some materials that you will need for styling a wig. So these are all my materials that I use, but I'll run through the essentials. So you will need hairspray. Very, very important hairspray to hold the wig in place. You can just like um, put together a wig. You can style it how you want. But if you don't have hairspray, within the first like 10 minutes, it's gonna get messed up already. So you need hairspray to hold the wig together. You also need a comb with a a pointed tip. That pointed tip is very important. It's so helpful. The detangling comb, not really necessary. Clips, very helpful as well. Those are the scissors without the teeth, as opposed to the thinning scissors, which have teeth. Those are both very important. Pins to hold the wig in place on the wig head. A blow dryer, not totally necessary, but it speeds up the process because um, the hairspray dries up faster. Steamer, that's very important. Steamer is very important to straighten the wig. A crimper to add volume, not totally necessary. Same with straightener, not totally necessary, but very helpful also. And a heat-proof glove. If you're going to be blow drying, crimping, straightening, those produce heat, and you need to protect yourself by wearing a heat-proof glove. Glue and cutting board are for more advanced techniques like um, putting hairlines. Not necessary from the start, but you need that if you're going to be working with hairlines. You'll also need um, next slide, please. My thing's not working. Um, Wait, I think it skipped the slide. There, you'll need a styling wig head. That's basically a wig head where you can stick pins inside, as opposed to a non-styling wig head or a wig stand, which is just a stand for the wig. So the styling wig head's gonna be more expensive, but you only need one. Wig stand, you'll need a lot if you have a lot of wigs, because you don't want to just leave your styled wigs lying around. Otherwise, they'll come unstyled, and then you'll have to wash them and style them again. You'll also need a wig clamp and a wig head tripod. Uh, the clamp is just so the tripod is honestly I use the camera tripod for this. Okay, so let's move on to buying a wig. So first, you have to choose the type of wig. There are two main types: lace and net. Now, lace is more expensive, but in most cases, it's nicer than the net type. That's all I can really say about it. The net type wig is uh not that nice. So I usually always buy lace type wigs. And you have to choose whether you want a character wig or a generic wig that you'll just style into a character. So usually character wigs uh have a bit more markup compared to generic wigs. The generic wigs are just wigs that you see on Shopee and they say red wig 100 centimeters or 50 centimeter brown wig, like that, as opposed to wigs specifically for like Huta wig or Mi. Those were because they're tailored specifically for and work as opposed to a generic wig. So anyway, let's move on to so when you buy a wig, the first thing you have to do is wash it because you don't know what they do to it in the factory. So I start with by dunking it for in detergent in about for about an hour or two, and then I take it out, clean off the detergent, and put it in fabric softener uh, for about 30 minutes, and then I take it out and dry it. So usually it takes about a day or two to dry. So that's the first thing you need to do when your wig arrives. Next, the next thing you do is in most cases, you would steam the wig to remove whatever crimps might still be there from the factory. Yeah. So on the left is the wig before being steamed, and the right is wig after it's being steamed. So as you can see, it removed much of the volume. So don't worry, we'll fix that later. But this one kind of helps straighten it out first. So next, you have to add volume. Usually, anime hair is very big. They have big spikes, big tufts, big wefts. So we can't do that with just straight hair. So you can choose if you want to crimp it or tease it or do both. So crimping takes longer. I'd say it's harder, usually, but it's neater, and you need a crimper. So as you can see here, a tease brought a bird's nest. So it has to reach this stage before you can start shaping your wig. So after that, after adding your volume, you should straighten it out a bit because from the bird's nest you can't just like start shaping it already. You have to straighten it out a bit to make it a bit easier to work with. Same with crimping, because crimping leaves uh, harsh marks on the wig. So it would be wise to use a straightener um, to lessen some of those marks because they're quite obvious uh, in photos. So after that, if your wig is too thick, you might want to thin it out a bit, especially the front, because usually when wig makers make their wigs, they make them longer than necessary to accommodate for everyone. So you need to thin it out a bit because though usually it's very, very thick, and layer it out properly. When to layer, you just what I do, I basically uh, split the wig into sections, and then I thin each section individually. Yeah, so layering, very important. So next, uh, there's more pictures of the process. Uh, there. So this is after. It's a bit thinner, but it's not too thin that it will be hard to get volume from it. Pa. It's just so that it's not too difficult to work with, and you're not left with a wig that looks extremely large on your head. So next is what I like to call mapping. I map the wig out. So what I do is I look at the reference photo. Reference photos are very important when styling a wig. So you need to like plan where will the spikes be, where will the tufts, the wefts be, where will they all go. So I grab some, and then I grab some hair and then like shape it into a spike, and then I pin it down first with a pin. Um, I don't do any hairspraying at this point yet, because once you start hairspraying, it's hard to reverse. But at this it's still easy to your wig out. So basically, this is just planning where you'll put your spikes, how the wig would look like, all that. This is usually easier if your wig doesn't have any flying spikes, but if you have flying spikes, it's still possible. You There's a special technique called back combing, which lets spikes stand up. Basically, you grab a weft of hair and then comb into the head. It helps spikes stand up. So after mapping your wig, uh, you shape it, because during process of the process before this thinning and layering, it's still not totally the hair is still not totally tamed, and when mapping it, you'll see the places that could still use some trimming, could still use a little thinning here and there. So this is basically where the part you do it in. You shape the wig so that the spikes and the tufts become more prominent and more seen. Uh, So after that is when you hairspray already. So for this wig, I added a bit of a hairline. This is actually a Caleb wig from Love and Deep Space. Uh, yeah, I added a little hairline, but I didn't cover how to do that because it's a bit difficult and we'd run out of time. But anyway, this is the part when you really lock in all the things that you plan to do. You spray your hairspray on the wig, and then you blow dry it quickly so that it will dry quickly. So hairspraying. This is basically when you say, okay, I'm happy with how it looks like. And um next slide's not working. There. So that's basically the wig styling process. After hairspraying, you're good to go. You can put it on your head, and it it hopefully won't come apart. Usually, you have to put copious amounts of hairspray so that for bigger wigs, so they don't come apart. So anyway, wig care, post con restyling. During a con, your styling might come apart a little bit, not too much. Not to the point that you'll have to restyle it, the whole thing again. So post con restyling is just fixing up, basically, um, cleaning up tufts, wearing them all over again. So for washing, don't wash wigs too often. This will damage them. I usually only wash them if there's a smell already. What you can do for hard styled wigs is you can put them on a stand and then spray the inside with alcohol. It helps dissolve any dirt that might be left on the wig. Yeah, that's basically what cleaning is covers. So for your storing your wig, preferably you cover it because um, hairspray is sticky even when it dries. Any dust that settles on your wig will be a bit difficult to brush off, difficult to get out. I can say from experience because my wigs are just outside in my room and they've gotten a bit dusty. So preferably you cover them with like a blanket or a piece of plastic or something like that. So yeah, that's basically what I have to say for wig care. And I think that was my last slide. Yes, that was my last slide. Thank you very much. And I pass the mic on to who's next?
Hi, so that would be me. Thank you so much, Ichi. So now, hello, I am Ali Kemi, and I will teach you guys about how to make up. So let's go on. I will shortly introduce myself first. So I am Ali Kemi again, and I started cosplaying in 2014, but I took a break in high school, and then I started attending conventions again in cosplay in 2021. So it's been 4 years now. So yeah, let's get right into it. Sana mag-next slide. Ayan. Okay. So sabi ni Ichi kanina, the wig was the crown of cosplaying. So what about makeup? Makeup is basically your mask. So it transforms your features into much of the character. So it's more for accuracy. It can make you look better, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It can be more about the accuracy when it comes to the character. Let's say if they have scars, if they have smaller eyes, bigger eyes, and it more than that, it also highlights your creativity. So it doesn't have to be scarily accurate na mukha ka ng exactly like the cartoon character. It can also be more of your own interpretation of the character. And that's usually what I do for certain characters that I really like and have my own interpretation of. So next, you can't exactly be good at makeup as soon as you pick up the brush. It doesn't happen overnight in the same way na you don't cosplay good overnight. So you can start like here, like me. There's nothing bad about my makeup in 2021, but it's my makeup right now is a lot better. When in 21 I just had eyeliner, eyeshadow, and a dream. So in 2025 I took the time to practice and to improve myself. So how did I go from that to this right now? So some makeup tips. Of course, practice makes perfect. It took me like years until I was comfortable with the makeup style that I do right now, and that was through watching tutorials as well. And a really really important tip is not every makeup tutorial will work for you. Sometimes the makeup artist that is doing a certain makeup look is only good in certain eye shapes or certain face shapes. So you will have to look for content creators that have similar features to you, and it will be much much more helpful because when I realized that I was following a wrong makeup tutorial, I was like, this is wrong. This does not look good on me. So it's better to look for similar looking or similar features in makeup artists. And of course, it's nice to explore different styles. At first, I stuck to a very specific type of makeup look. I had a specific style that didn't really change even if the character looked different. So there wasn't much variety when it came to my characters. And then I realized that, oh, I have the same look for every cosplay. I think I need to change that. And that's a really good stepping stone in becoming more closer to the characters in terms of accuracy. So, and makeup tips practice. Anong gagamitin ko sa pagme-makeup? So, this is what I use. That's what I have. Sobrang dami. I won't go into that. This is actually what's more important. So, ayan. First of all, foundation and concealer. It's basically the base of your whole makeup. And ayun yung pinaka-common na yun muna yung ilalagay mo before anything else. And next, lipstick. The color of the lipstick is important, but usually one lipstick is enough. It can even become your blush, it can even become your eyeshadow. You can be resourceful. There's no shame in using one makeup product for different parts of your makeup. And also, eyeshadow palette. Same thing. You can use your eyeshadow palette for your eyeshadow, for your eyeliner substitute, for your blush, for your contour. It can be anything. If it works, it works. And eyelash curler and mascara. It's also important, especially if if you plan to use false eyelashes, or if you use concealer and your eyelashes turn your skin tone. Mascara is very helpful in returning the black color sa eyelashes mo. And of course, makeup brushes. It's hard to apply makeup without makeup brushes, but there's no shame in using your hands or fingers in applying certain makeup. For example, I use my hands when it comes to applying foundation and concealer because I feel like it gives me more accuracy. And of course, eyeliner. For me, ito yung no-brainer na kailangan kong dala kahit hindi ako naka-cosplay. I have eyeliner with me. It's very helpful in changing how your eye looks. So, after nun, ito, medyo nag-sneak peek na tayo sa brands. So, I'll go into more of the brands that I use and I would recommend. Disclaimer, these brands might not work for you even if they work for me. And this is not sponsored. So, okay, let's get into some brands that I would recommend. So, first of all is Sasa Lady or Safe Lady. This is more popular online on Shopee and Lazada. Again, not sponsored, but I usually buy these online. Maganda yung sale usually. And for me, the coverage of the concealer is really nice. And it lasts for a long while. So kahit nasa convention ako, it stays, and that's really great, especially as someone na pawisin. And next, Maybelline. It's more popular. You can see it everywhere. Pag pumasok ka ng Watsons, there's probably Maybelline sa shelves. And it's on the cheaper side. It's easy to access. Like I said, nasa Watsons lang naman siya. And I stand by yung super stay nila na lipstick kasi talagang nagsistay siya, hindi siya matanggal at all. Like, kahit anong gawin mong makeup remover, it usually stays. So, yeah, that's very, very nice. But also be careful sa kanilang foundation concealer because sometimes it oxidizes or it changes in color. Basically, nagmumukha siyang orange. So, you have to check that. Kaya, important na pumunta sa Watsons, and I will go deeper onto that later. So last slide for brands. So O2O, it's also more of an online brand. I like their yung maliit dyan, it's a brush, and yung curler nila, it's really nice kasi para siyang may ngipin. It's not the usual eyelash curler na flat lang and you use it. So parang mas effective siya sa akin as someone who has really short eyelashes. And next is Zisia. I think that's how you pronounce it. The first picture is a primer. It's colored a bit purple. It's very helpful for people who have a bit yellow or olive tone in their skin tone since it kind of color corrects your whole face subtly. Not hindi siya OA na magmumukha kang purple, pero it will really help your skin tone pop out more. And then the next two pictures, those are setting spray. I don't personally own them, but a lot of people have recommended this setting spray. But the setting spray that I use is in the last most right part. It's Ever Bilena. It's really tumatagal talaga yung makeup ko sa Ever Bilena. Perhaps it's also due to the primer and other makeup products. But when I use Ever Bilena, it lasts for the whole convention day. So, ayun. Aside from makeup brands, napahapyawan ko na yung Watsons, Shopee, Lazada. That's where you're going to get these makeup items, makeup products. Of course, physical stores like Watsons. So it's the advantages is you can test it. There's usually testers sa Watsons na you can even ask yung mga sales ladies, clerk ng how, like, what is the most suitable shade sa akin. And it's usually very helpful kasi natetest mo talaga sa arm mo kung kamatch ng skin tone mo. And then, you can proceed to order the certain shade online kasi most likely it's cheaper online, especially if magse-sale. Malapit na mag 8-8, so keep your eye out for that. Malalaki yung sale pag 8-8. And a small tip is check out during their live streams because there are usually more vouchers sa live. Yun yung isang tipid tip na share ko. And moving on from that, doon naman tayo sa more exciting part, applying makeup. So, I will dive in to more feminine or masculine makeup. So, yan, wow, that's me. So, I would like to dive on in the difference, not to enforce the binary, pero isa-separate lang natin yung characters that look more feminine or masculine. So, for the eyes or in general, they have feminine characters have more softer features while masculine characters have sharper features. So mas matindi yung contour nila and yung eyes nila they're sharper. Usually yung nose nila is talagang straight na ano ng nose pag feminine more button nose or something. And then ayun sa eyes ng feminine character they're usually bigger. So kadalasan yan yung mga gumagamit ng false eyelashes na talagang makikita mo nagpa-pop siya ang laki niya. And usually pag masculine, walang little to no. Some people use eyelashes that the really tiny eyelashes, but most of them don't. And then also yung sa lips, it might not look much pero malaking factor ang lips when it comes to cosplay makeup kasi kapag nag-full lips ka, it gives you a more feminine vibe. And pag masculine, yung thinner lips, so yung lipstick mo is usually nasa loob lang and not sa up like really upper or really lower. And then lastly, hindi siya masyadong napapansin but curved thin eyebrows for feminine and sa masculine thick na straight eyebrows. So it's a really good thing to note kasi hindi siya masyadong napapansin ng people but it's a really big factor sa makeup especially if kita yung eyebrows talaga. Kasi like for me, hindi kita yung eyebrows ko so it doesn't really matter. Pero for certain cosplays na kita yung eyebrows, it's a big factor. Okay, so just to share, ayun nga, I said na yung feminine doesn't, not the binary, ganon. So, there are female characters that have sharper features and can still have a feminine makeup look. So, on the left side is Maki and Yoru from CSM. They have a more fierce vibe. So, the makeup is also more fierce. Mas, yung eyeliner ko kay Maki, it's more sharp kesa sa downwards. And same kay Yoru. And then, next naman sa right side are more softer characters. So, yung personality nila is, let's say, more bubbly or mas youthful yung vibe nila. So, Ayane, yung orange yung hair, is a schoolgirl. So, yung makeup niya is softer compared dun sa mga nasa left. So, next naman is for masculine makeup. So, not all characters din na male always have sharp features. So, pwede ding merong soft. So, sa left ay more sharper features. So, ayan si Mitsuya and si Xiao. Si Xiao, you would notice na malaki yung mata niya sa game. But my interpretation of Xiao is mas singkit siya, mas sharp yung features niya. So, I used makeup that's more sharp to emphasize that. Tapos, next naman, si Hinata and si Kenma. So, they're younger. They're like in high school. So, their features are softer. And even sa anime, mas malaki yung mata nila. So, I chose a more softer makeup look. So, mas downturned yung eyeliner, yung eye makeup. It's like more round kaysa sharp. So, after that naman is not completely related to makeup, but it's really close. So, contact lenses. It's definitely not a requirement, but has a big difference sa facial expression mo because certain contact lenses, the colors or the sizes can change your whole facial expression. So, let's say I bought contact lenses that are small. So, it's usually more effective for male characters kasi mas sharp yung dating, mas masungit yung dating. And for female characters naman, I usually buy the bigger contact lenses para mas mukhang malaki yung mata ko, mas mukhang round. And of course, yung accuracy to the eye color. Tapos, another thing about contact lenses, be careful when picking the right color kasi mangyayari sa inyo yung nangyari sa akin. Nakamukha ko na si Gojo Satoru kahit naka-Historia cosplay ako. So, ayun, buy from physical, trusted na stores and online stores, check nyo yung reviews. Kasi usually may mga nagpo-post naman ng reviews nila na kung anong itsura ng eye makeup nila or nung contact lens, if it's too bright, if it's halos walang nangyari. So make sure to check reviews. Don't be like me, guys. And of course, take care of your contact lenses. Marami namang tutorial like i-check nyo kung expired na ba yung contact lenses nyo. Don't wear expired contact lenses, guys. Pag nakalagay na 1 year lang yan, itapon nyo na after 1 year. And of course, so that's last for me. And I will pass the floor to Ria, who will talk about skincare that is also related to makeup.
Ayan, thank you. So I hope everyone is excited to try some makeup techniques from Ali for your next cosplay. But before you do that, let me introduce almost anyone or probably everyone's worst enemy. It's skincare. Whether outside or in cosplay, who really cares about skincare? And do you really need it? But to hopefully challenge your mind, let me discuss some factors for skincare. So here, I've summed up some general factors you need to consider when it comes to cosplaying and skincare. So I want you to ask yourselves kapag may upcoming cosplay kayo or may pinaplano kayong cosplay, does your cosplay require or plan to have any makeup at all? Or maybe heavy on makeup? Maybe your cosplay has an accompanying wig. Will you be wearing any special effects, prosthetics, simulated body tattoos, or even body piercings? May mga ididikit-dikit ba kayo sa katawan nyo katulad nung tenga ni Frieren na nahuhulog every 1 hour? Or maybe you plan to shave any part of your body in preparation for cosplaying. Honestly, if nagpaplano kayong mag-cosplay, you probably answered yes to at least one or if not all ng mga sinabi ko. And let me tell you that all of these and more when it comes to cosplaying require special care and attention so you prevent breakouts and be hygienic. Heavy makeup or costuming can be harsh on your body and skin, but it doesn't have to damage it. You can ensure recovery of your skin and build more confidence, which is very, very important for cosplayers, as you wear your cosplays for longer. So ayun, to answer my question earlier, yes, skincare is essential kahit na hindi kayo magme-makeup, kahit na sa tingin nyo wig lang susuotin nyo at saka mag-o-office fit kayo ng any character, ganon. So please take care of your skin and ayun nga, nandito kami para turuan kayo. So here are the basics of what you should know about and just to help you out. So here I have before and after cosplaying. So before cosplaying, you should essentially always, one, cleanse. Always make sure your skin is clean. Nagbigay na ng warning kanina si Ali, pero gusto nyo ba talagang madumi yung kamay nyo at saka yung gilid ng mata nyo kapag nagsuot kayo ng contacts? Tapos susuotin nyo yun buong araw. Pagtanggal nyo, namumula na yung mata nyo. Tapos ngayon, kailangan nyo pang gumastos sa tapos gagastos pa sa ospital. Siyempre, we don't want that. That also goes for lashes and anything else na kailangan mo sa makeup mo. Next, number 2 is moisturize to keep your skin hydrated, and especially big factor dito and advantage is makeup will always go on more smoothly on hydrated skin. So do not skip your moisturizer. Number 3 is protect. Whether that's sunscreen, which is actually a must wherever you are, or any other SPF protection. Kahit nasa sabihin nyo sa loob lang yung con nyo, umuulan, you need sunscreen. I'm telling you now, you need sunscreen. And lastly, for before cosplaying, you also have the option to prime your face before makeup, especially to combat any issues with your skin type, whether oily or dry yung skin nyo, or combination. Then, if you notice, after cosplaying, it's the same things again. So I hope it's also easy to remember that you have to cleanse, sometimes double cleanse if heavy yung makeup nyo, and moisturize and also protect your skin to let it breathe and recover. And unfortunately, I won't be talking about any brands because actually, for skincare, what's more important is what works for you. There is no one answer, one brand for flawless skin and invisible pores. It's always what works for you. And note that we aren't just talking about facial skincare here. It is also important to give care to your body, especially if you have some more uncomfortable and intricate costuming for your cosplay. Baka akala nyo magsasuot lang kayo ng mahigpit na kung ano, tapos pag uwi nyo, rashes na pala ang maaabutan nyo, right? So hygiene is also very, very important for this. And lastly, as a bonus, for both makeup and skincare, in addition na lang kay Ali, always test any new products preferably when you cos trial. It's very, very much recommended na mag-practice kayo ng makeup looks nyo. Practice nyo yung buong cosplay nyo kahit na nasa bahay lang kayo. Mag-picture kayo sa inyo sa mga kaibigan nyo. That also builds your confidence and that also gets you to test out anything that you will use, you will probably use na buong araw in any convention na pawisan ka, all of the oils, all of the interaction. So it's always better to be safe. Next is to regularly maintain all of your tools as well. That's for makeup and also skincare. Lahat ng didikit sa mukha mo. And lastly, when you're in cosplay or makeup, bring facial tissues or blotting paper for sweat and oils that may build up so that you prevent any or further breakouts. And that's it for makeup and skincare. So hope you guys are learning a lot so far since we still have some more to teach you.
Okay, thank you, cosplayers. We'll now have a short 5-minute break before proceeding to the next segment of our event. While we wait, you can always submit your questions, link on the description, and see you all in a bit. we're back. I hope everyone's still here because we still have more to learn from players. Let's now call on Komimi to start the second half.
All right, welcome back to our cosplay workshop. Now we're moving on to the second part of a little series. So you have your outfit on, your wig styled, your makeup slayed. What do you do next? Well, for those of you curious about hopefully taking your cosplay outside, well, here's your segment. Let's talk about taking your cosplay to conventions. But let me also just introduce myself first, as I didn't earlier. You can just call me Komimi. And much like what Dean said, you gotta start somewhere. Well, I started as an avid convention goer back in high school and had always wondered about cosplayers. I used to go around collecting cos cards like collectibles even when I didn't have socials to follow them on. Nasabi ko lang sarili ko para cute, ganun. Photo card. Cosplayer photo card. Sa likod pala IG na yung nakalagay at saka Facebook. But fast forward through the pandemic and cosplaying became a creative outlet for me. And I've since volunteered to cosplay for UP AME for nearly every event. And I am finally starting my own cosplayer account. So for me, conventions really were the gateway. So how do you find out about conventions and their details? Honestly, there are a lot of ways. There are friends, groups, maybe you even have friends that are cosplayers already or convention goers, or maybe it's a random chance to visit a mall with an ongoing convention, or you can just seek them out. In the case of the last option, normally most fairs and conventions have a main organizer. So we suggest that you follow pages of these organizers so that you stay updated on their schedules and whether a convention may be coming near you so that you can plan ahead. Here are some that may already seem familiar to you. There's Cosplay PH, Cosplay Mania, we have Comic-Con even, and even in non-cosplay centered events like art or comic fairs, much like Comic-Con, you'll definitely see cosplayers. And next, speaking of cosplayers, when do you or when should you get into your cosplay for a convention or a fair? This honestly will really depend on your resources and the overall event that you will be attending. So here I have some pros and cons, a little bit of a mix of both. But if you're considering on getting into your cosplay, getting into your outfit and makeup before the con, this is ideal if you have personal transportation. And most likely, you definitely need to plan ahead kasi nagiging komportable minsan if naghahanda ka before the con, tas pagdating mo, wala, 2 hours na lang pala natitira, gano'n. Kasi late ka na nagising kasi kampante ka naman na may maghahatid sa'yo or may kotse ka naman. So, you really definitely have to plan ahead. Kung gusto mong dumating ng convention pagbukas pa lang, you may have to start preparing at 4 a.m. And you have to plan around that. You know, also, maybe it may be uncomfortable if taking public transport. So that's definitely something that you have to consider. Especially kung ano man yung susuotin nyo, whether balak nyo suotin yung wig nyo the whole way habang nakasakay kayo ng carousel. There are people that do that. I have done that. I have done makeup habang nasa bus. And it's definitely an experience. I'm not sure if I would recommend, pero it will definitely build your resilience as a cosplayer. And more on that later. And lastly, cosplaying before the convention and putting on everything or partially everything before the convention is the best option if you're taking props or have very, very large accessories that you can't afford to lose in public transportation or have damaged. Especially, for example, maybe if nag-rent kayo, katulad ng na-mention kanina, you have to do your utmost best to keep it in pristine condition. So next we go to at cons mismo. This can be very inconvenient. Again, I'm not sure if this is something I would recommend, pero I definitely feel like not just yung speakers natin, this is something we all have probably done, especially for some of our first cosplays at conventions. Pero yung pagsiksikan sa Girl CR, sa kahit saang mall man yan, and lahat kayo, mukhang itlog sa may mirror. Lahat kayo may makeup sponge, may isang makakahulog, ganun. Ay, sorry. Tapos yung katabi mo ay magsasabi ng like, I love your cosplay. Ganun. Tapos parang, okay. Pero ayun nga, sinabi ko, you will become very resilient at cons. Kung nakapila ka man and wala kang fast pass to a convention but you still really really want to get in and to cosplay, you'll find people, maybe even yourself, na nagpapakahirap maglagay ng contact lenses at the waiting line ng hindi fast pass. And next is yung comfort in traveling. What I'm referring to here is if you choose not to wear your cosplay or your costume during transport, that's definitely more comfortable. You can go into conventions or to the venue of conventions in your most comfortable outfit, jogging pants, a shirt, then just go through a little bit of the hassle of changing in the bathrooms or if they have changing rooms over there. And next, makeup can be a very, very big hassle if you plan to do it at the con itself. Why? The main problem here is logistics. Are you going to be bringing every single piece of your makeup tools and products to the cosplay itself? Or what we suggest, or some suggest doing, is you can do your base makeup at home before you go outside and travel to the venue or to the convention, then you can do everything else at the convention. This is especially good for people that sweat a lot through their makeup and need to retouch or maybe just prefer to do all of the details and all of the specific makeup details that they want at the convention itself, given that they have the chance to. And lastly, this will definitely probably require assistance, especially when it comes to your costumes and some of the wigs that you may need wearing. You may need a second opinion if you're wearing something right. You may need help from somebody if you need something zipped up from your back, right? And moving on, we have ayan, preparation. So, this is for preparation of yourself going to a convention. First, I very, very much recommend to check the weather. You'll learn more about that later. Whether it's gonna be hot outside, if you're sure there's gonna be a line, if you're gonna be eating outside as well, or if may baon kayong snacks, which is also a good practice then, if the venues and the fairs allow that. And kung uulan, that's very, very much important. And I will also discuss that later. Second is learning the venue and the event. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if you plan to go alone, or in the case that even if you're inviting some friends to come with you to the convention and you have a lot of things to bring, right? Especially if you're changing into your cosplay or changing out of your cosplay, you're gonna need enough baggage to carry all of it. Or in most big conventions, they have a baggage counter. So it's very, very much important to learn about the event beforehand and plan around that. Or if you need to work out the logistics, would you be bringing a car and leaving any of your stuff in there? Be sure to keep it protected. Or if you're bringing around some friends or a group of people, will you be asking them to carry some of your stuff? And it's always important to double check all of the stuff that you have. Next is always plan your way home before going to conventions and cosplays. It's not just for safety, but it's also very good to plan how you will get home, what time you will get home, and all of the considerations with regards to that. If it's a big convention, maybe even alongside another big event, public transportation may not be reliable enough for you. Baka kung anong oras ka na makauwi niyan. Na-experience na rin ata namin lahat yan. And ayun nga, if you're bringing some people over, or you have a carpool, it's very much also important if you do get separated or plan to separate somewhere during the convention, what time you're gonna reconvene and what time you plan to go home. That sets a limit on whatever you do at the convention, and it's just a good practice. And lastly, like I said earlier, invite some friends. This is not just for the convenience of having somebody hold your bag while you're in full cosplay, but this is also very much for safety, which I will also discuss on later. All right. For the next part of preparation is making your cosplays last. So with the first part of our workshop, we already discussed how to get into cosplay, how to make your makeup look good, your wig style, but how do you keep it like that? So these are just some few basic paano ba 'to, recommendations um for cosplaying at events, especially. One is to secure your accessories before the event. If your costume or cosplay has a lot of other accessories or parts, you may want to consider sewing them on, maybe gluing them on, or whatever works for you. Especially if mag-rent ka. The last thing you want is to lose a piece of whatever you rented. And especially if it's something that you saved up for, your own cosplay, it's very, very much a hit to your self-esteem if like hindi siya kompleto. And it's not important to a lot of people, but to others, it is. It's their own money, it's their own hard work, right? Kahit nawalan ka pa ng pilikmata, minsan iniisip mo gumuguho na yung mundo mo. Sa totoo lang, parang tumitingin ka sa sahig ng con, nasaan na? Tapos naapakan mo na pala. Next is keep pins, fabric tape, and plaster handy. Very, very, very much important. Even if you think you secure everything before the convention, keeping safety pins is always handy. And even fabric tape if like may hindi kayo inaasahan na mahuhulog. Ganon. And plaster or even band-aids, very, very much important if you're feeling uncomfortable in what you're wearing, especially shoes. Feet is definitely a victim by the end of a convention, which leads me to my last point. Always bring emergency footwear. I'm not sure if that's just for me, pero that's might be something that you experience as well. And nagiging joke to sa amin, pero laging nasisira yung sapatos ko for a face-to-face convention. Pero for some of you, your shoes that especially are part of the costume itself may not be the most comfortable thing to wear. And kung tapos naman na yung event, tapos naman na yung convention, why not protect those shoes and that cosplay and just wear something more comfortable going home, right? So bring your slides, bring rubber shoes. Okay, promise, I swear, medyo mabigat, pero it's worth it. Lalo na kung magto 2-day con ka, mag-rubber shoes ka na lang, ate. Alright, next. Last we have is etiquette for conventions or fairs. So first, oh my god, I cannot stress this enough. Cosplay is not consent, okay? Cosplaying is very much a form of expression, a form of self-expression, but it is never an invitation for harassment, okay? Whether you're in a convention or even outside of it, where it's not cosplay-centered event, your comfort is always what is most important here, all right? And number two, this also leads to number two, you don't have to force yourself to interact. So for those of you that are scared of going to conventions in cosplay because you need to act like your character, ganon. Or pag may lumapit sa'yo na like, oh my god, I love your cos, ganon. Tas like, wala, kailangan mo ring bigyan ng compliment. It's not like that. There are no hard rules about giving back, ganon, or interacting talaga. It's always about what you feel comfortable with. You can always get away with a thank you, a picture, or even if you're not comfortable with anybody taking pictures of you, you can always decline. Nobody has the right to force to take a picture with you kahit gaano ka cute pa yung cosplay nyo or whatever, right? And also to number three, this is also hand in hand with one and two. Don't be afraid to ask. If ikaw naman yung like may nakilalang cosplayer or gusto magpa-picture, gusto mag-compliment, gano'n, want to ask for their socials, maybe ask for cost cards, don't be afraid to ask. Do not just approach and grab anybody out of nowhere, right? Even if these are also cosplayers, even if you are also a cosplayer. So do unto others what you expect others to do unto you. If you demand respect, also give respect to others. And that next is practice decency. So these are some unwritten rules, pero you might be learning them when you go to conventions or other fairs where you interact with other cosplayers. But it's kind of known fact when anybody, whether it's a cosplayer or not a cosplayer, if somebody is eating, maybe leave them alone. Take a picture with them after. If you see a cosplayer or if you yourself are buying something at the artist alley, you don't want anybody grabbing you to say that, oh my god, you're my comfort character, pa-picture po. You can always wait the 2 or 5 minutes to let the person do whatever they want to. So always practice decency. Usually also you can find in bigger conventions people sitting by the side. And those are typically cosplayers resting. So normally if you can just leave them alone for a while. You can come back to them later. Or you can just compliment them and go on your way. And lastly, what's most important is definitely have fun, right? If you're thinking about fan service or interaction, that's not a requirement for cosplaying. That's a plus. That's something that you can do if you're into that and you really, really like interaction with fans, but it's not a requirement. Again, what's most important is that you have fun. And whether that's joining, singing, cosplay competitions, or even just taking photos around, or just wandering alone in the convention by yourself in cosplay, hoping that nobody recognizes you IRL. That's very, very much a very, very cool part of cosplaying. And just do whatever you want within bounds of other people's, ano, then especially. Pero ayun, speaking on photos and other things that you can do outside when you're already in cosplay, I will now hand it over to Ali and Ichi again.
Yeah, so hello again. It's me again. And later on, mag-share din si Ichi ng kanyang thoughts about photos.
Yes.
So, ayan. So, ako mauuna for this part. So, we have home shoots. So, obviously, hindi naman pag nag-cosplay ka, diretso convention ka na. Like na-mention ni Komimi earlier, we have the trial before going to convention. I mean, it's not a necessity, but most cosplayers would try out their cos or their makeup before going on to a convention. Hindi siya straight away. So, here are some of my home shoots in the past few years. So, ayan, all of them are edited in one way or another. The first two are edited yung background to suit the vibe that I wanted, and also for the second picture I was trying to copy the cover of a manga volume. So ayan, in lahat pwedeng ma-edit, like, well, of course that's mostly me, but there's no shame in editing your face shape just a bit, or retouching your makeup kasi I wasn't able to mention this earlier, but your makeup looks different in person and it looks different on camera. So usually your makeup on camera is more harsh, like compared to in person. Kasi I'm gonna be so real, ang OA ng makeup ko right now in person. Kapag tingnan ko yung sarili ko sa salamin, ang OA niya. But on camera, it looks fairly, subtle. Pero, ayun, I need to do that para kita siya sa camera. Kasi the camera kind of downplays the makeup a bit. And ang siguro pinaka big factor here is yung pag-edit ng backgrounds, kasi you don't have the backgrounds sa home shoots. Especially if you're a beginner cosplayer, you probably have this kind of wall lang. Baka wala pa, baka magulo pa yung background mo. And that's fine kasi if you can take the time to edit, you can definitely do something about it. So here are some of um important things about home shoots. So first of all, good lighting setup. It's a good investment to buy one or two ring lights. Some cosplayers have two ring lights because one of them is the white or warm color, and then the other is the brighter one. So kunyari gusto mo yung main light mo is white, and then there's some red sa gilid for dramatic effect. So that's also one option. Meron ding mga sunset lamps, yung mga LED lights, there are different kinds na pwede mong pag-investan. But lighting is definitely important, especially sa home shoot. And then next, experiment with the lighting. Ayun nga, you can try different colors, you can try different equipment. And next, tripod, optional but very helpful. Pwede naman ipatong mo lang yung phone mo somewhere and that's gonna work. That's what I usually do. But if you want to achieve certain angles na hindi mo basta-basta malalagay, just kung yari lalagay mo sa table or sa cabinet, sometimes a tripod is a good upgrade. And then next naman, utilize the timer. Mahirap yung gaganon ka, i-press mo lang yung camera. So you would have to use the timer, tapos kailangan mong i-practice yung poses. And there's no shame in retaking photos. It's completely fine. And then, of course, a clean background. Like I said, it's a really good start kasi mas madami kang pwede gawin sa clean background. Pero if you can't do anything about it, gawin mong clean yung background. Paano? Editing apps. So, first of all, Ibis Paint, I'm using this for years kahit hindi pa ako nagko-cosplay. It's great for erasing the background or replacing the background. And it also is what I use for retouching the wigs. Kasi kahit anong style mo dyan, merong flyaway hairs dyan kapag hindi ka sobrang professional na wig stylist. So, if merong wig strands na umano sa mata mo or like flyaways, you can try to remove it. And minsan, pwede ka rin magdagdag ng wig strands kasi sometimes umaalis siya sa, kahit naka-glue pa yan sa mukha mo, minsan umaalis siya. And of course, adding certain details sa background, sa, let's say, yung makeup mo, hindi siya ganun kakita, like I said, kasi not everyone can successfully change their makeup look para makita sa camera. And then, next naman is May 2. This is really popular among cosplayers, or at least the cosplayers that I know. We use it for editing yung lighting and yung color, since, ayun nga, we don't, kunyari, ako isang rinit pa lang nabibili ko, paano yon? Hindi ko na ma-edit yung, yung ilaw. So, pwede naman siyang baguhin somewhat sa May 2, pwede rin sa Ibis. And, of course, ang pinaka-main na paggamit sa May 2 is yung makeup retouch or physical appearance retouch in general. Kasi madaming, parang there's a beauty editor. So you can, let's say, you can enlarge your eyes a bit. Pwede mong paliitin yung mukha mo ng konti. Kasi, let's say, hindi mo bet yung picture, hindi maganda yung angle. You can try to fix it a bit using May 2. So, that's all for me, I believe, sa home shoot. And now, let's move on to photo shoots. Take it
Okay,
away.
so once again, I am Ichi or Enzo, and I will be talking about con shoots or photo shoots. So what are con shoots? These are basically photo shoots that you conduct uh, at a con. Usually, almost always with the help of a professional photographer that you hire to take pictures of you. So as opposed to a home shoot where everything is in your control, everything is in your hands, and you have to do everything, con shoots are almost an all-in-one package where you just show up and the pictures will be delivered to you a week or two later. I say almost because there's still some things you have to do on your end. So as you can see here, these are some of my um, resulting photos from shoots at conventions. And I credited each photographer below the picture. So there's Welt, taken by Royal Wonderland, Kaito, taken by Fatwork, and Risley, taken by Munro, or Munro, sorry. So what do you have to do to prepare for a con shoot? So first of all, you have to communicate with the photographer. You have to tell them, can I hire your services for this convention? And then you have to ask them what their terms are, how many pictures they'll take, how many pictures they'll edit, if any. Usually they have these informations available on their pages. If you want to find some photographers who I can recommend, just ask in the Q&A form. But yeah, you have to communicate with the photographer. You have to tell them, this is what I want. This is who I'm going to cosplay. These are my reference photos beforehand. So they can sort of form a plan on how they will be executing your photo shoot. So you also need to agree on a time slot. Usually they'll tell you these are my available times during this con, and you have to choose one because they have lots of clients usually. So as I said, you have to prepare reference photos. These are very important. Because if you show these to your photographer, and then they'll know how you want your character to look, how you want yourself to look in the picture. You also have to practice posing. You can't just show up and be like, okay, I'm gonna pose, and then it's so awkward and weird, and then your photographer has to individually position each one of your limbs. It's gonna take up a lot of time if you do that. So I suggest you practice posing in front of a mirror before the con, even out of cosplay. Of course, it's good to practice in cosplay because some costumes are a bit movement restricting. So even having one in cosplay dry run would be super helpful for that. You also have to give credit once the pictures are with you. You have to credit your photographer when you post them, uh, wherever. As maybe for photo shoots that have gone 1 year, that have been done like a year or more ago, maybe it's excusable not to. But as much as you can, always credit your photographer. So yeah, this is con shoots are very kind of, how do I say it, self-contained. You just have to show up with your reference photos after practicing, and your photographer will take care of the rest. Um, and usually, actually almost always, the results are very much worth the price you pay for their services. So I believe that's all for con shoots. So next, to talk about the community, um, me and Dean. So uh, wait, next slide. So first, I will be talking about cosplay groups. So here's some cosplay groups that I've had. The one on the left is a Fate Grand Order summer theme shoot. We got a place, we got a resort with a pool, and we brought the photographer over, and we had our pictures taken, and it was all very fun. The one on the right is like an impromptu Vocaloid cos group during, I believe it was Matsu 2022. Dean is also there. She is the Luca, and I am the first Kaito, the second Kaito from the right. So anyway, cos groups, very fun. You get to interact with a lot of people, but how do you go about joining one? CGs for short. So of course you have to know people before you can't just be like, yo, I want to be part of this cos group, but then barge in on other people who are clearly doing their own thing, and tell them, can I join during the day of their planned cos group? No, you can't do that. You have to know them beforehand. So how do you do that? Be active on social media. You don't have to force yourself to comment on everybody's posts. You don't have to be like, whoa, uh, I love your cosplay on everybody's post. Just be genuine. Just tell them what you think. Of course, be nice. Be nice about it. Interact with people on SockMed. That's probably the number one way to get friends, to make friends in the cosplay community. The second bullet, I don't know why I put it there. It should be It should be a default thing. Be nice. No one likes to interact with someone who's not nice. So if you're not nice, chances are people will be like, oh, let's not talk to that person anymore because they're not nice. So obviously be nice. You can also ask your friends, hey, do you wanna have a cos group with me? Do you want to cosplay together from this series or from this game? Do you wanna hire a photog? If they say yes, then great. But if they say no, don't force anyone into a CG because it's expensive most of the time. Or you can start your own. You have to take charge, of course. So starting your own cost group can be daunting at first. You'll have to handle everything, handle who's going to shoot, who's going to where you guys are going to shoot. You have to find cosplayers. Usually you do this by posting on social media, looking for cosplayers for a Vocaloid cos group. And then you give the details. Everything has to be planned out beforehand because people aren't going to join a cost group without hard details yet. So yeah, starting your own might be hard, but at least you will get to do everything that you want. Well, most of the things you want. So CG etiquette, if you're not, yeah, you have to be responsive. No one likes it if you join a CG and then you never give updates on, oh, here's my cosplay. Um, Unless like it's still far off, like a year away, then sure, it's fine to leave the CG group chat alone first. But the closer your CG comes, the more responsive you have to be to your CG mates, because everyone needs to be updated on what's happening. Um, Obviously, you need to prepare for your CG. You have to prepare your costume, your wig. You have to prepare your payment because you have to pay. Uh, Pay on time. Especially in most cases, you hire a photographer to take your pictures. So they have to be paid, and the more people there are, usually the higher the photographer's fee, but the more people there are to split with. So please pay on time for CGs. And in the unlikely and unfortunate event that you might have to back out from your CG, um, tell them early, because no, it's quite rude to just tell them a week or two before your CG that, oh, I can't make it. And if you do back out, make sure to uh, try to compensate them. Say, I'll pay for my slot, but I can't go, or I'll get my friend to go instead of me, or something like that. Don't just leave them hanging with a missing slot for their character. So I think that's all on CGs. So next is Dean to talk about cos duos. So that's me and Dean.
All right, thank you. Okay, so cost duos. I think a lot of us have encountered this online. Maybe someone is like, "This is a cost duo I want to do," or "Oh, hey, I'm looking for someone to cost duo with me." Okay, so with cost duos, you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship. Okay, it just so happens that me and Ichi are. Okay, so we get to have fun with characters and our ships, or maybe characters that are canonically together, even if they're not canonically together, it can be fun. Okay. um so yeah, you can do those, but it's not always like a romantic cos duo. It can be like a platonic cos duo. Maybe they're like a chaotic duo in a particular series, so you can do that as well. With romantic, I guess, cos duos, you can also do that with someone who is not necessarily your real life partner, but you have to be very careful with that. Okay, it's all about consent. Does this person consent to you guys posing certain ways or whatever? Okay, so everything you have to do with a partner, especially in cosplay, just always ask for consent. Okay. um so have fun with ships, but be careful with the ships that you cosplay, because some ships are kind of not very good, or cancelable in our lingo, if you may. So just be careful with the ships that you cosplay. Make sure that they're not necessarily, like a bad influence and things like that. If they're villains, I guess, sure, go ahead. But you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to elaborate. So yeah, just be careful with the ships that you cosplay. And of course, communicate your comfort level. Whether or not this is a person who is your real life partner, always communicate your comfort level. Maybe they're comfortable doing this and this and that. Maybe I'm not comfortable doing that. So you have to be very open about it. Okay? So that's your comfort level. Okay? Um so yun, communicate also with your partner when it comes to budget, because sometimes, what if your partner doesn't afford that costume or that character, or they can't afford this particular photographer. Okay, you have to be very careful with that. So always communicate. And this one goes especially to those who are in a relationship. Be careful with your PDA. Be very, very careful with it. We know that you're in a relationship. Alam namin na kayo, pero please keep it PG, especially because um these days children attend conventions. Okay, it's not an R18 expo or whatnot. Okay, so you have to keep it at bay. um siguro when it comes to certain poses, or if you want like kiss shots, things like that, that can happen. But again, be very careful about it. Ask for consent from your partner. Ask consent from your photographer. You can even ask consent from your friends. Are you guys okay? Are you gonna be comfortable? We're just gonna do this for a bit. Things like that. So you have to be you have to be very careful with that. And this last bullet is especially very important if your cos duo is not your real life romantic partner. Okay, and you happen to be cosplaying a romantic ship, right? You have to be careful with that. Ask them, what are your comfort levels? Are you comfortable doing this? Are you okay doing this? Or something like that. And okay. So next part is we have some competitions. This is not a necessity when it comes to cosplaying, but perhaps it could help those who are interested in venturing into competitions, because maybe you have that competitive side of you. So that can be very fun as well. So, says, you want to start?
Says you're muted on stream.
Okay, back from the beginning. Rinig nyo sa Discord but not on stream. Okay, let's do it one more round. Hi, I've been talking for like 5 minutes. Thank you for checking, Osh. Or rather, thank you for checking, Shu. So, let's do it again. Back to the start. So, competitions. I'm just gonna keep it brief. Like I've mentioned earlier in the call that only y'all could hear me except for the chat. So, hey chat, what's up? Basically, what you wanna do or what you really want to look out for is, like we've mentioned earlier, when it comes to cosplaying, you don't necessarily have to be 100% like the character, but when it comes to competitions, sometimes judges can be lenient, but you're not always lucky that they'll be. And as a judge myself as well, we really have to look into the small details each character has. Do they have the same color, or do they have the same structure of the clothing? Are there any flyaways such as glue gun strays, or um you know like how fabric frays? Yeah, you also have to look into that. It's all about details at the end of the day. And the best part about these competitions is, as you keep competing and as you keep learning what you need to do, you also build your skills, and there's a lot of skills you need to learn. And I believe not all competitions do this, but when it comes to like competitions that are really serious, they will really ask whether or not you specifically made the cosplay without anyone's help. If you did have help rather, you need to be transparent about that. You really need to tell them, oh yeah, somebody helped me out with this thing. They will deduct points for that, but that's pretty much it when it comes to cosplay competitions. You have to be transparent. And I believe there was this thing that happened in the cosplay community. Somebody entered a competition with another person's cosplay. That is a huge no no with some competitions. But, for those that are very lenient, I guess putting everything together, that's pretty much okay. Although some competitions really require you to make things from scratch, so you really started with just plain old fabric and then you sewn everything yourself. All in all, it depends on it. So what you need to do, like the other speakers or the other cosplayers in the call right now have mentioned earlier, um, research the competitions you join before joining them. So yeah, I'll pass over to Dean when it comes to singing comps. Oh my goodness.
All right, thanks. Okay, so another thing that happens in Coscoms is recently kasi it's not just cosplay competitions alone. So uh they've had a rise of singing competitions, and I just happen to be someone who's really competitive when it comes to singing. So I don't know, I get a kick out of it. I like it. And I do my best with it, and I use it as some sort of motivation to make myself better in both my craft as a musician. I do study music in college, and as a just as an overall performer. So yeah, says is also a musician in college, so we're from the same department. Yeah, so there's nothing better than combining two hobbies that you have. Okay, but I guess my singing is beyond a hobby, I would say. I do join professional choirs, so yeah, so it's just really fun. And you just have a hell of a day with it, and whether you win or lose is it doesn't matter. I think one of the things that I like to emphasize, also as someone who has judged singing competitions at cosplay events, is I want to see you have fun on stage. And you as a performer, you have to have fun on stage. Yes, you have to do it well, but you have to do it, with your heart. Um, and I didn't always win competitions. That picture posted there is actually the actual photos of stuff that I have won throughout the years. As you can see, yes, there are like I think what 4 champions, I think, but there are also runner-ups. And I cannot emphasize how many other competitions I have joined and went home with absolutely nothing. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, yes, I have won a lot, but I've lost more than I have won. So it's not something to discourage you. If you don't win, that's fine. Then try again next time. Okay. So preparing is very straightforward. Okay, do not be complacent. Practice, whether that is a singing competition, a catwalk competition. It always pays to practice. It's good to also think of a concept when joining a competition. This is something that I have learned throughout the years. I cannot just go there and just do whatever I want. It's good to have a concept. It's more enjoyable for the audience and for you as well as a cosplayer. Um, Again, do not be discouraged if you lose. Everyone lose, not everyone wins at the first try. And most of all, give it your best and don't forget to have fun. Okay, especially as someone who is quite a spectator, if I would say, someone who just watches. Always have fun. It's so nice to see someone have fun on stage. And yeah, is there anything else? So yeah, that's all for me for competitions.
Okay, I think that is all the part for the talk part. We'll now move on to some of the questions that was sent to our document. So let me just scroll down. Um, if our hosts are ready for Komimi, the question is, what skincare products can you recommend for people prone to acne breakout?
Sabi ko hindi ako magbibigay ng brands. Pero okay. I mean, as for general products, always, one, if may derma ka, that's better. So you can double check if that product is good for you. Pero in general, you can look for non-comedogenic. And first of all, for any product, actually even for makeup, try to go for non-fragrance products. Very, very much important for that. Um, Number two, outside of the products, again, if you're acne prone, even without using any particular makeup products or skincare, please get that checked first because you may have some underlying issue that can be treated before you consider covering it up or doing your own skincare about it. Ayan.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. This is just a follow-up question from me. Why is it important to like choose those which has no fragrance? Like, bakit important na no fragrance yung pipiliin? Is there any big significance with those things?
That's really bad for your skin. Hindi naman ako dermatologist, pero fragrances do nothing other than probably one, I think it's not directly bad, pero it is harsh. That for sure, yeah, fragrances are harsh on your skin. Bakit mo kailangan ng amoy cherry na blush? 'Di ba? Just you don't. You don't. They can be it may not be that bad for you, but it can be harsh. So, isa din sa mga iniiwasan natin is yung long term na health ng skin mo. Definitely.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you very much, Komini. For the next question, it's for Dinsum. Are there any places or sites you recommend for buying cosplay outfit?
Ooh, okay. I think I don't need to say but Shopee. That there are a lot of good things on Shopee. Siguro magkakatalunan lang tayo when it comes to brands. So try to look at the brands. Lazada also works. And then it also is very helpful to join cosplay market page or cosplay market groups. I think groups or pages on Facebook. People buy and sell there. So you can buy and you can also sell your stuff. If you're a little bit more, I guess, if you have like a credit card or whatnot, you can buy from international stores that is not Shopee or Lazada. Taobao works. And I don't know kung up pa rin ang cosplayfood.com because back when I was like 13, that's where I would look at stuff. But yeah, lots of available sites that you can buy from. But mainly Shopee, Lazada, Taobao, and Facebook Marketplace. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And for our final question of the day, this is gonna be directed to what's one thing you can never attend a cosplay event without? Let's start with Ali Kenny.
Sorry, repeat ko lang yung question. Something na hindi ko pwedeng maiwan for a
Yes,
cosplay event.
for an event.
So of course, aside from your costume, mm, for me, I would say tubig. Like sobrang hindi siya related sa cosplay, but sobrang kailangan mo ng tubig. Kasi mahal ang tubig sa labas. Let's be real. Pagpasok mo ng convention, yung tubig hindi siya makatarungan. So it's better to bring your water kahit konti lang. It doesn't have to be like 1 litrong tubig. Kahit maliit lang, you just need to stay hydrated the entire time sa con. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And for Circuit Kathy?
Does it only have to be one thing?
Yes.
Oh, because there's so much things you could bring to a convention eh. That's just as important, like super important. Sige, I guess money, because number one, you need it whether or not you're in private or public transport. You need to get home. Not only do you need to get to the venue, you need to get home. Also for food, kasi I believe all of us here had the experience of eating a lunch, especially sa SMX, no? Like you either go to SMX and then you eat IKEA for lunch. Yeah, that stuff good. I miss IKEA. Also, yun nga, for dinner as well, after the convention, you need money to buy food and also keep yourself hydrated by snacks as well. So yeah, money. Boom.
Okay, thank you for that. How about for Dinsum?
Top of my head lately kasi I make sure that I don't forget my contact lens case. Kasi once I start like leaving the convention, I have to like I want to take it. I want to take it off na. But you know, if you don't have the case, then where are you gonna put it? So lately, before kasi I would always forget it. I was like, okay lang yan, kaya kong suotin to hanggang bahay. Pero minsan kasi gusto ko maipikit yung mata ko, gusto kong may glip. Hindi ko magawa kasi naka-contact lens pa ako. Also, do not nap or sleep or doze off in your contact lenses. Always take them off before dozing off. So yes, contact lens case.
Okay, next one is for Ichini. One item.
Jisoo Life electric fan because ang init sa con, guys, you will sweat. You will be uncomfortable because it's so hot all the time. So please bring a fully charged electric fan. Bonus if it doubles as a power bank where you can charge your phone. Very, very important. Yun lang.
That's true. I think last con I attended, it's so hot that I just had to go home early.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
like the last person who will give their answer would be Komini. One item, only one.
Anticlimactic kasi nabigyan ko to emphasis kanina. Pero for me, sapatos talaga, guys. Lahat ng alam nyo to, lahat ng pinuntahan ko para sa amin and whatever. Pag uwi, wala na yung swelas. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. Tapos, ayun talaga, may mga con na nakasuot ka ng kung magkano man na clogs na kasama ng cosplay mo. Tapos bumabagyo, or naapakan ka ng kung sino mang naka-heels na ate sa harapan mo. It's not fun. Just bring flats. Minsan nagdala na ako ng chinelas kasi mas convenient. Swear, alternative footwear is my best friend.
Okay, thank you very much. Sadly, it looks like that's all the time we have left for today. As much as we want to learn more, I think it'll be better to hold off for another event for those future stuff. Who knows, maybe next time we'll have a more productive and hands-on face-to-face here in UP. We'd like to thank our cosplayers for the valuable knowledge and tricks that they imparted with us today. But before we end today's stream, do our lovely guests have anything to say to our audience? First is Ali Fanny.
Wait. Hello, ayan. Okay, so first of all, syempre thank you for listening to us yap about cosplay. It's very, we appreciate you guys staying. Kung ilan man kayo, kahit isa ka lang, thank you. And I hope meron kayong natutunan, especially from like kung ano man yung nasabi ko about makeup, since it's something na I've been collecting throughout my years of experience sa cosplay. And mag-shameless plug na lang ako na umattend kayo bukas ng Tanab Jetta Festival sa UP Town Center kasi magbo-booth ako tomorrow. I will be there. So kung gusto niya ako makita, I will be in Aya Osawa Cosplay tomorrow. Bili kayo sa booth namin and sa Peoples and sa UP Grill. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ali Kemi. How about for Circuit Kathy?
Mag-shameless plug din ako dito. Please check out the upcoming Filipino dub for Misai that is coming up very soon. Baka this month kasi tapos na kami sa pinaka-last naming location. And also, thank you so much to the other cosplayers in the stock right now for joining our little workshop. We've been working so hard for this for the past couple months na, no? We've been working on this for months na before, like, for preparation. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed and probably learned a thing or two. If you have any more suggestions for our next possible, yun yan na mention ni ni Osh kanina. Shu. Okay, na mention ni Shu kanina. Yes, we'll probably also tackle those soon.
Thank you very much, Circuit Kathy. Next is Dean Sum. Anything to say to our audience?
Ah, gusto ko rin mag-plug pero wala akong ipo-plug. So, follow niyo na lang po ako sa FB. Hindi, hindi ko rin alam. Wala po ako masyadong ginagawa ngayon eh. So, but yeah, kaya yun ang sabi ni Ali Kemi, maraming salamat po for listening to us yap. We love yapping about cosplay and hopefully you learned a thing or two. Again, it is not an overnight thing. It takes years of dedication and practice to be able to, be the best version of the cosplayer you can be. And siguro another parang word of wisdom, advice, ganon, is never be too competitive with your peers. Okay? So focus on yourself. Focus on trying to be the best version of yourself than trying to be better than other people. That's a losing battle. So be better than who you were before as a cosplayer than be better than a particular cosplayer. So yes, do that. Siguro plug ko na lang na magko-compete po ako sa Cosplay Mania Karaoke Cup on October. Di ko pa alam kung anong kakantahin ko, but hopefully makita niyo ako doon.
Okay, and next, Ichini, anything to say to our audience?
Hi guys, thanks for attending our talk. Hopefully next time face to face naman, but we hope you enjoyed and learned a lot. I personally hope that gets to yung parang wig styling tutorial ko. Just feeling ko medj past you what I did. If you have anything to ask, you just PM me in Facebook or Discord or wherever. So one piece of advice I can give is to never be uh, complacent with your cosplays. Like I used to think that parang yung nauna kong cosplays. When I started, I was like, damn, I'm so good. But now when I look at them, like, yo, it sucks so bad. Don't show me that. But yeah, so always look for areas you can improve on, whether it be your makeup or your wig or your costume. Even the store bought costume can be improved on. So yeah, I hope to see you guys in a con soon. Thank you.
And lastly, our lovely UPAMI President, Komimi, anything to say to our audience?
Kailangan ganun lagi yung introduction. Pero since nasabi mo na, syempre pa-plug ko muna ang UP Ame. And thank you so much sa continued support nyo, which allows us to have these types of events. And hopefully nga, originally sana balak namin face-to-face. Pero due to many issues, logistical especially, hindi kinaya. Pero hopefully in the future, with your continued support, kayang-kaya na mag-yap ng aming cosplayers face-to-face. At maturuan na kayo ng wig styling para wala nang nasa dilim. Tapos, plug ko na lang din na napagawa ako ng cosplay account dahil dito. So, baka pwede niyo i-follow sa IG. Nawala yung cam ko, okay lang yan. Pero, as for a final message to kung sino man baka nanood, hala nawala ako. Okay lang yan. Ako na nagsasabi, since this is a workshop for cosplay for dummies for beginners, yung nakalagay sa nyo, check out nyo na. Yung kung tela man yan or buong cosplay man yan or wig pa lang yan, marketplace, sabihin nyo na parang go po. Ito na yung assurance fee ko, give. Kasi, ayun nga, if there's anything that you want to pick up sa lahat ng niyap namin, kasi it may seem like a lot, sana hindi kayo na-overwhelm. Just go do it. You'll never know, you'll never learn if you don't try. So, give it a shot. Ayun lang. Hala na wala na ako, I'm invisible. Ibang cosplay na to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Komimi. And thank you very much, cosplayers. I was hoping we could take a group picture before we go. Kaya ba?
Try ko.
Maayos ba ang cam?
Wait lang.
Gusto ko yung ni Komimi eh. This is your sign. Gumastos ka na. Joke
Oo talaga, sir. Pinanood nyo na eh. You
She's
took the
back.
first step.
Ito na ang sign mo. Bilhin mo na.
Okay. Ako na mag-i-screenshot. So, I'll time it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. And thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much for our cosplayers. We hope you enjoyed how to cosplay for dummies and learned more about cosplaying today. For viewers from UP or upcoming UP students, hello freshies. We hope you consider joining our application process for UP AME this upcoming semester. And everyone, let's see each other in conventions and other events cosplaying our favorite characters very soon. Thank you very much. This is Shu signing off.